YouTube has a way of recommending videos to me when I don't want them to be recommended to me. The video that I came across is a Final Fantasy XIV video, and I'll give a brief description of the video. Basically, it is advice being ignored and how to teach sprouts in Final Fantasy XIV, which is two things that should never be in the same fucking sentence. I'm just keeping it real with you on that. Being a mentor to sprouts in Final Fantasy XIV, you have to really be feeling yourself. You really have to think that you're him, her, Z, Zer, whatever the fuck you classify yourself as. You really have to be feeling your oats to be like, yo, I am going to try to teach brand new players. I am going to give them advice, constructive criticism, and then that's where you go wrong. As the title of this video says, mind your business and never give any other players advice on Final Fantasy XIV, or rather, never give advice on Final Fantasy XIV. It's a sure way to literally get your ass banned for trying to, you know, give advice. Here's where things get technical. If you're giving advice to players and they take it the wrong way, they read it the wrong way. Because let me be honest with you, whenever you read text, people read things a certain way. And if it sounds condescending, it's like, this fucker here is being a prick. I don't like the way he typed that. So what's the first thing that you're gonna think? You're gonna think, oh, this dude's being an asshole, so I'm going to report him. When reports get sent off, there's transcripts of text, and if the mod looks at those transcripts on Final Fantasy XIV, they'll be like, well, they were giving advice, but the way that it's worded is kind of fucked up. So guess who gets in trouble? You, Mr. or Mrs. Advice Giver. That's where things get technical. And off tops, you're training a fucking new player. While some may be real chill about it, others may not be. As somebody who came to Final Fantasy XIV brand new, I never once asked for help. I literally fucked around and found out. And through all my failures, through all of the bullshit, I mean, I've had people tell me how to play my classes. I was on the opposite end of that, where people were like, you're not supposed to be using that. Stop using flare on the boss. Stop doing this, stop doing that. And you want to know something, bro? I never once argued back at him. I never once hit him with a you don't pay my sub mentality, because that is a real mentality in Final Fantasy XIV. That is like the number one thing anybody will say. And let me just go ahead and talk about that real quick. First and foremost, it's a 50-50 with that. You don't pay nobody else's subscription. Therefore, you do not have the authority to tell them how to play their class or even how to play the game. That's why I'm saying you mind your own fucking business. If somebody's obviously doing something wrong, hey, let them do it. Leave them the fuck alone. Spare yourself the fucking headache. Now, on the opposite end of that, if they are obviously trolling and doing it just to piss you off, then they're in the wrong and they could be the one prosecuted for it by being reported, mass reported, by the way, because that's how people do things on Final Fantasy XIV. So it's a 50-50 end on that situation with the whole you don't pay my sub. But you gotta understand that you are supposed to play the game the way the game is meant to be played, but at the same time, no one has the authority to make you play the game the way they want you to play the game, if that makes sense. Now back to the advice situation. If you're giving advice as a person who's been playing the game as a veteran player, understand that you're probably gonna sound like a dick. You're gonna sound like an elitist prick. If you are a mentor and you're giving advice to a sprout, this is where things get a little interesting, because you have to figure out the correct wording. Actually, everybody who types in Final Fantasy XIV has to make sure that their wording is correct, on point, because if it's not, then you risk getting reported and potentially banned off of Final Fantasy XIV for quote unquote giving advice. 3 years ago, they were okay with players giving each other advice. Years later, you will fucking get banned for that shit. This is why people don't even talk to random players in Final Fantasy XIV. I get compliments, but because I'm on console, I can't respond to you anyways. So like, people give me compliments, they'll emote and then they'll run off into the fucking sunset, and I'll just be standing there. Like, I'll target them and I might emote back, but by the time I emote back, it's too late, because again, I'm on fucking console, so I don't have everything at like a button's touch. Like, I have a certain amount of buttons. I don't have macros either and shit like that. But if anything, man, you do better keeping to yourself. And that's just how it is on Final Fantasy XIV, man. Like, mind your business, keep to yourself, and you will survive a long time on Final Fantasy XIV. It's your boy Legacy. I'm out.